Hello, hello. Welcome back to Gunning to Old Trafford with your host Ibi and Shady. And today, guys, you guys are in for a treat.
Wow.
Amazing segment with Radia Monga, Roshni resident. And Abdul, I'm excited. But I'm going to hand over to Abdul to do the needful and then bring Radia in. Abdul.
Wow, guys. Welcome all Gunning to Old Trafford by the fans, for the fans. Don't forget to like, share, comment, hit that bell notification, slide tackle into those DMs. And wow, today. We are setting none other than Radia Monga, Madam. Oh, not Madam. I'm so used to saying Madam. Coach, welcome to Gunning to Old Trafford. It's a pleasure having you here today. I'm just so excited.
Thank you. I'm very honored to be part of this program. I've seen a few of your programs and I've been very impressed. And you know what? To have you guys drive all the way to Midrand, out of your village, into my city. Out of your village and into my city. Welcome. And I hope today is going to be as exciting as you both are.
This is the most exciting we've been in a long time.
Absolutely amazing. So, where do we start? Coach Radia Monga, sports coach, fitness coach, and wow, setting Johannesburg alive.
100%.
Let's be honest about it. Setting, and as you guys can see, I chose a beautiful pillow because I'm amongst friends here today, guys. You know what I mean? So, yeah, Ibi, bring us in.
Brilliant stuff. So, guys, today's segment is we're breaking away from the normal, getting into which teams people support, etc. Because today we've got Radia here, who, like Abdul said, a sports and fitness coach. And I think it will be wrong if we don't dive into that, right? So, Radia, how did you, growing up, right, soccer, football was seen as a boys' game, right, predominantly. And I think still till a few years ago in South Africa, that was the view, right? How do you, growing up, looking into it and say, listen, this is the field I want to go into, and this is the field that I'm going to break barriers. Like, how did that happen, and how was that journey?
Okay, I think a lot of it is because of my upbringing in Roshni and Rastlands. As you know, that's what most of my childhood memories were made of. Following Rastlands teams across the entire provinces, going for games all over, the tournaments, the Rastland tournaments. That's literally how we grew up. Everything around us was about soccer, and my dad, my uncles, my cousins. That's all we ever spoke about. So it was already, a part of my life, a big part of my life from as I was growing up. Yes, unfortunately back then, there was never opportunities for girls to play soccer. Yeah. So we would only be supporters. We would be screaming the cheers, we'll be supporting our teams, we'll be running the tuck shops, but we were never allowed on the field. And I think where I felt, the taste for it or just the need for actually why not females was many years ago when my late uncle Hamid was coaching under 8s, and he said to me, come with me to the field, you can help me coach the under 8s. And that's when I got the first taste of actually coaching these kids. And I was like, why don't we do this? Like, why don't they have a female? And I think I was the only female coach there on the field with him, but I was always with him there. And so take it forward a few years later, an opportunity came to me from Little Kickers, and that's a grassroots program designed by FIFA to say, would you like to start up your own Little Kickers in the Vaal area? Because I was already part of that the Little Kickers Midrand, and Little Kickers is only soccer focused, but it's for toddlers up to the age of like 6-7, so it doesn't progress to the older kids. So at that stage, I was like, soccer is I haven't professionally or coached soccer. As a coach, I was just assisting my uncles, but I don't mind. Let's give this a try. And that was when I started my career off in sports. It was literally my first time I actually started off in sports, and that's when I pulled Shady in on my team with me at Little Kickers in Roshni, and my very first Little Kickers I opened, which I was residing in Joburg at the time, but I started it up in Roshni.
Brilliant.
So yes, I used the opportunity to kick off my career in an area that I knew, with people that I knew. So it made it easier for me because that was the environment I was used to. When it came to soccer, that was the environment I was used to, and I felt like the biggest support came from the people around me there, just to guide me. And my uncle was there with me. My late uncle was there with me. He used to come for training with me on a Sunday. He used to give me some, guidance, some advice on how to go about with the grassroots program. And I've learned a lot from it. And after that, I felt like this is not the end of it. Unfortunately, Roshni became a challenge for me to come up and down between Joburg and Roshni, and it was a weekly thing, and it was just becoming a bit much. So I ended that, but I didn't end it there. I came back into Joburg, and I saw an opportunity, my very first opportunity at Nizamia School, where the school had just started. There was literally only 30 kids at the school. There was no sports. And I took the plunge, and I said to the principal, they were at a parents' meeting, and I was actually there to do a little kickers demo. And I said to the principal, why don't I have a meeting with you on Monday, and I can come and run your sports department.
That's
and
amazing.
I literally just stood next to him, and he looked at me and he was like, sister, do I know you? I'm like, no, sir, but you would by Monday.
Wow,
I love
the confidence.
Yeah, so I rocked up there on Monday with a little bit of equipment that I had. I went and got me a soccer ball, a few cones, and I started doing sports in Nizamia. And and it started off there. And you must know, at this point in time, I had very little knowledge on what to actually coach the kids, because I'm talking about physical education, and then there was no other sports developed at that time. So I figured, I can teach myself what I need to know. And I went for a few courses, learned what I needed to learn.
Wow.
I took my experience from Little Kickers, from the grassroots of that, and I started developing the sports at Nizamia. And so I literally started at ground level. There was nothing.
That's amazing. And I think for the viewers, the thing that you need to take from this is that opportunities don't come looking for you. They're there, but you need to go hunting for those opportunities.
Yes. Agreed.
And you need to be courageous and have the confidence to take that plunge. Because that's exactly what you did,
Yes.
going to the principal, taking the initiative, and like you say, the rest is history.
Yes,
I mean, that's
12 years down the line, and I'm still running the sports in Nizamia. So.
That's amazing. And just on as Radia was talking about Uncle Hamid,
Yes,
Uncle
I was-
Hamid,
yes,
Allah grant him
yes,
Jannat,
yes.
inshallah. But
Ameen.
Uncle Hamid was our coach as
Oh,
well,
man,
growing up.
man,
And
man.
what a football coach. I think everything we learned,
Came
he
from Uncle
instilled
Hamid.
it into us, and we take it today. We still carry that with us.
Ibrahim and Coach, I just want to say something, and something which, and this is the correct platform. Coach Radia is talking about Restons. I played for Restons my whole life. And when she says it, I feel a bit nostalgic and stuff, because, they were beautiful battles.
Yeah.
But taking nothing away from one of the giant families in Roshni, and Coach Radia Monga, which is a Monga. These brothers, guys, and you guys need to understand that the Mongas lived. They ate football. When I tell you guys, on a Sunday morning, and you know what, it might be happening now. I'm not taking nothing away, but on a Sunday morning, getting a big size bus. And all taking all the community kids to go play league matches.
Yes.
These were not just legends. These were giants.
100%.
And this is a time where, again,
We need
big ups to
appreciate
the
that.
Monga family.
100%.
And from my side and Ibrahim's side, we appreciate what you guys have done for our community and continue doing for our community. So big up Mongas and
And you carrying on that
Brilliant.
tradition, Radia.
You said,
That's
wow,
amazing.
wow, amazing.
Yes, and I think, now some of my cousins are coming back into it. Like, Short is coming back into
Brilliant.
it, Caps is coming
Brilliant.
back into it. So slowly they're
And
coming
Poppy
back
as well,
into
right?
it. Poppy is coming back into
from
it
a
big
girls'
time.
football perspective, that's
So,
amazing.
yeah, and Poppy's making me ever so proud because I know she's
yes.
pushing girls
Yes.
football.
Yes.
So, we're trying to revive it again within the family. But I must say, yes, a large part of my confidence from getting into this field, I didn't even do PE in school. I didn't know from every PE class. I don't know if this is karma coming back and saying, okay, you missed every PE class, now you're a PE teacher. So I don't know what it is, but in all honesty, my confidence of going into this career, which is a career, you must remember, I worked for government, I worked for Special Investigation Unit, I was based at Department of Land Affairs, I was working with tenders and procurements. I was nowhere close to the sports department.
That's crazy.
And it was that moment when the parents were complaining there's no sports at the school, and I thought to myself, I can do this. I've got
You've
it
got
in
the
my
grounding,
blood. I've got it in my
100%.
blood. It's there.
Confidence, passion. personified.
100%.
Have I summed it up correctly?
And if you guys didn't see the video we did with Shahid Sumar,
Oh,
and
yes.
he talks about confidence. And you're
Confidence,
seeing
yes,
it,
yes.
a common theme with all our guests, it's all about confidence.
Confidence.
That's
Amazing.
amazing. And confidence personified.
Wow. Coach Radia, you know, we have this perception in our communities and in our country about women's football.
Right.
I mean, coming off a fantastic AFCON win with Desiree Ellis, what's your perception of women's football at the moment? And is our development really taking us to the next level for us to compete with the likes of USA, England, Brazil? What's your take on the development of women's football at this present moment?
Okay, I must say that the past few years, I'm talking about recent years, I am really thrilled at the way the women's football has developed, especially after the Banyana win.
Yeah.
You can say, okay, that was the cherry on the top, but prior to that, it was an area that people didn't really notice because it wasn't highlighted ever. So it was always an area that no one actually seen. It was there's a women's football team, a national team.
Yeah.
We're all aware of it, but we don't really give it much attention. It's there, but it doesn't get much attention. You know, it was just like, okay, let's do something for the women too. You know,
Exactly.
let's give them something to do as well.
Yes.
And that's what it was until they went and made a name for themselves, and you know they came up to the top.
Brilliant.
And then they brought this attention to themselves all of a sudden, and people started seeing, you know what,
There's something happening.
there is potential.
Yeah.
And from that, it just spiraled out of control. Like there is now, you see a lot of girls football coming, and it's becoming more of an acceptable norm in societies. Where previously, if you mention, let's start a girls soccer team, you'll have the entire community on you saying, nah, girls shouldn't be playing soccer. You have schools coming back to you, I can't play soccer, you know, I let him play netball. It was always, with us in school as well, girls had one option, and it was you play netball, or you go sit under a tree. I always sat under a tree. So there was really not much options for girls. And it has changed. And what is so amazing is that I have seen girls in my school. I've got a Turkish girl. She had played from small. She was playing against, you know, some of the boys, her peers in her class, and the boys are scared of her because if she tackles them, I mean,
they feel it.
she knows, yes, and her understanding of the game.
That's
Remember,
amazing.
girls have they got patience.
Yes.
And they can, and you give them something to study and understand, and they will do it.
True
Boys,
that.
the boys don't like theory on soccer. They just want to be on the field. While girls will sit down, you can have a session with them where you sit down and you explain what a formation is, what is your purpose as a midfielder, what is your purpose as a defender, how to understand the game, how to read the game, so that you play the game together as a team, not an individual player. I mean, because if I want to set up a goal, the player on my right wing needs to know what I'm doing.
Exactly.
If they don't know
100%.
what I'm doing, if they can understand what I'm doing, then I'm setting up the goal for no one. I mean, I'm just going to get to the front, and then I'm left on my own screaming for players to do what they have to do. So a lot of times you see boys, when you put them into a classroom and you try to do theory for them with soccer, they're all like slumping down. Where can we go out? Coach, can we go play soccer now? And they're like, they're edgy. Because they've been growing up thinking that soccer training means on the field with the ball, kicking the ball, and that's about it. They don't know that there's
the theory behind it.
the understanding the concept. Now what I've noticed with the girls is because they came into a new environment now, soccer is a new thing for them. So now it's like, let's take a step back. Let's learn what soccer is first.
Wow.
Let's understand soccer
Tremendous.
first. Now the boys, it's natural. Parents are like, nah, they know what soccer is. He's kicking a ball since he's 3 years old. He knows what soccer. So there is no theory. There's no understanding. There's no background knowledge. There's no background, information coming to them. So they just know what they see on the field.
Yep.
Yeah.
But the girls, they like to, at this point in time, they don't want to just take on the challenge on the field because that's physical. They would rather learn the game first, understand the rules, understand how they're supposed to play, understand what is allowed, what is not allowed. And then they together as a team, they come up with an idea, a strategy, a way to go forward. And that's, when you put them on the field, they put that to action.
Wow.
And you
That's
just see
amazing.
a completely different game. And that's where you see the difference in the games. And where I've noticed it is last year at a Kuro school in Midrand, we had our district qualifier. So we have all the schools in Midrand, the T9. We have all our girls teams. They usually play against each other. And you could see the quality of soccer from there. Yes, they still lack in their power. That penalty shootout probably went on for around 15 minutes because the girls, they lack the power. They kick in, but the ball's just landing there. Literally, the goalkeepers will walk into the ball and pick it up. So they lack in still power. They lack in that physical toughness. That ability to push, to use their body for body contact. They lack in a lot of all of that, but they're gaining a lot of understanding and knowledge of soccer.
But I think on that, physical, getting ready physically, that can come over time and age,
and they're pushing themselves.
and working in the gym and stuff like that.
They're pushing
right?
themselves.
But
yes.
if you don't have that theory grounded in you from a youngster going into it, you'll never have it.
No, you won't.
And that's something that a lot of players are
And
missing.
just on that also, Ibrahim, Coach Radia mentioned something very, very important about the theory and the practical. Being a coach and being a player, the theory and practical go hand in hand.
Yes.
If you go for football courses or you want to do your professional license, KEF D, C, D, A, B, whatever it is, there's a theory part of the game which sometimes takes up more than the practical part. Because like you just said now, the practical part and the strength, the stamina that you can build. But what you have in your mind is what you use on the field
100%.
and also off the field. So that's absolutely amazing.
When you talk about theory and understanding, it's about understanding aerodynamics, understanding how to hit the ball, all of those kind of things, right? And we were watching the game together, Manchester United Arsenal over the weekend. And the two goals that really stood out for us was Rashford and Saka.
And we dissected the technique
And
of
the technique
way they kick that
of
ball,
looking up, taking that extra second to understand where the players are, how to hit the ball, the position to hit the ball. If you don't have the theory, you can't do it.
And if you don't know, just
It's,
amazing so far. Yeah.
It's almost like the same concept of saying, the stereotypical thing was women belong in the kitchen, they're supposed to cook, men belong, and they're supposed to do everything handyman, whatever handiwork there is. Now you take a guy that wants to cook. He's not just going to go in the kitchen and, estimate and put ingredients in. Like with a woman, it becomes natural. You just estimate and you put.
Correct.
Very seldomly you will follow a recipe unless it's something complicated. But now with a guy, this is not your area. So you need to know what exactly is going on. So you're going to find out, you're going to Google, you're going to research, you're going to understand, you're going to see what spices mixed together makes what. And that's why you find most of the chefs that are men actually cook better than most females.
True that.
Because of the history behind their research and the effort that they put into it. So now you're taking the same concept onto the field with soccer. And you're saying, you bring in an agenda into an area which was before, in previous times, not ever allowed. Now you're bringing them into this area. This area is now new for them. It's not the netball courts anymore.
Yeah.
This is an area where, there's an expectation to say, what can they really do?
Correct.
Now, you put boys on the field, and even if they mess up, no one's judging them. Put girls on the field. And if they mess up, how many times they've laughed at banana too, and made a mock of them. Right? But, they won't even blame the coaches in that case. They blame the players. They're like, girls don't know how to play soccer. Look at this, look at that, look at that. Very seldomly do they ever understand that we are at we have the challenge of having to live up to a guy's standard of playing soccer. I don't know why do we need to play on your standard of soccer. We have our own standard. We can create our own standard of soccer.
And in a South
we can
African
compete on our own level.
that standard is better than the men's football as well.
So why? But we subjected to males' standard of playing, and so we constantly at a demotivated because we never playing as good as them. So I see that when I let a few girls play against a few boys, they always walk onto their field very proudly. We're going to kill them, we're going to this, we're going to that. And the girls walk in there a little,
timid.
Yeah, they're feeling intimidated, and then they trash them. And it's a joke. It's a joke afterwards because the boys are upset, irritated, losing their tempers, their egos are going out of the window. So I'm like, but you guys came in here very arrogantly because you thought this is your sport.
A walkover.
Let me just remind you, this is no longer just your sport. We share it now.
100%. No, and I loved
it. It is now our sport.
And I think on that, right, as a South African football fan, and all three of us are, right, the last time we saw South African men pick up a significant trophy was back in the day when Mark Fish, Dr. Kumalo were playing, right? 1996.
Yes.
I mean, we still talk about it.
Phil Masinga, Danny
Gold.
McCarthy. Those are the guys that
talk about.
that
There's
nothing new to talk about.
After that, there was nothing.
It just.
But now Desiree Ellis and her team
There's some
have just put a bounce back in South
Something's
African
boiling.
football.
There's something cooking.
And that you open your eyes and say, listen, actually, that's the route we need to go, man.
Do you know?
And
listening-
without the funding that the men's team has gotten,
Yes.
which is crazy, man.
And this is also in coach, you can attest to me. We did a fabulous segment with Hassan Abada. Yet they playing in the Cecil League, it's a Cecil League, and they're playing in all of these leagues whereby they are seen by Desiree Ellis and they're getting picked. But there's no support coming from as big as a university or from the locals.
And that's why it's
Let's
amazing
see. Let's
what
see.
UWC are doing. I'm not sure if you've seen it.
Oh yes.
But UWC have implemented a program called the Shibobo Festival,
Yes.
where they've gotten girls football within the Western Cape or within Cape Town, and they hosted a tournament. And Hassan Abada, was spearheading this with the team, and they put on an amazing show. I think we need to connect
Yes.
yourself
And
with
hopefully-
Hassan, and hopefully you
hopefully-
guys can bring that. this side
Hopefully
as well.
we
Bring it
get
back again.
and now we again in our village. Sorry, man.
Your village.
We are so excited that we might get the Pink Panthers of Roshni
Yep.
going to play into
UWC's
UWC.
tournament. Yeah.
Yes.
So
We're
it's
working
in the
on that,
pipeline. So
100%.
Poppy Monga, you're doing a tremendous
Fantastic.
job.
Yeah,
So yeah, man, moving along, madam, and
Yes.
this is something very, very, very important. The influence of a coach to a player. Now, the world we're living in today, there are so much of different things kids are doing. And obviously, the parents also, you get certain parents who are doing also a bit more than other parents. And this is where our children are being neglected. Not only by the schools or parents or friends or cousins. And this is where coaches come in, and coaches really get into the mindset of the player and really start understanding what a player needs to make it to the top level.
Yeah, no, definitely.
You know?
So you the first thing I think most parents need to understand and is that the world that the kids are living in now is a lot more challenging than the world that we were living in. Their challenges are so much more because they're not only dealing with the general society norms. Now society norms are changing. So they've got to keep up with this entire ever-changing world that's evolving into something that we also as adults don't understand.
Yeah.
And then secondly, they have you look at broken homes, you look at situations at home, domestic violence, domestic issues at home are probably 80% to 90% more than it was when we were kids. So you're looking at a classroom, probably like half the class is going through the same situation. So there's a lot of issues that these kids are dealing with, and I think we as adults were probably not prepared enough growing up, because we were never exposed to this type of trauma or type of experiences, so we don't know how to help our kids to cope with it. And one of the most important aspects is that sports actually plays as an outlet for these kids, because you tell a child go to a psychologist, you need to go to counseling, you need to go, they very reluctant because they don't want to really talk their mind out to somebody they don't know. You tell them, give them a soccer ball to kick that ball against that wall till their mind is at ease. And I would rather that they do that than to venture off into other things that's like drugs and other things that are obviously not suitable. So sports actually plays a huge role currently in the world, especially with kids, and I've seen it. I've seen kids go from a depressed state into high excitement, and then because this is a comfort zone for them now, sports is their outlet. It's their place of going to when they just need to get rid of everything else. And now who's the person that's bringing them here? It's their coach. The coach is the one that's taking them, they're giving them this opportunity, being in this environment with them. The coach is the one that's spending that happy time with them. So when they associate the good feelings of life, they associate it with the person that is bringing that to them, and that is their coach. So clearly there is going to be a closer connection between coach and player as opposed to a learner and a teacher. Because the teacher is in a closed environment, it's a controlled environment. I'm teaching, you listening, and that's how it's going on. On the field, I don't know, and you probably noticed this, that you don't have a team of players, you have individual players. With each player,
Definitely.
you know exactly what their strengths, their weaknesses, their personality. You dig deeper into it.
100%.
And because we go out with them, we're not on the classroom only with them, we go out for tournaments with them, we see their character outside their
Outside the school
environment.
environment, sure.
You see their character outside their school environment. So you start, you're able to reach out to them. You can see clearly when they're going through a difficult time. I walk on the playground a random day, and I can tell you which child is going through a difficult time, and I message them, are you okay? You don't look okay today. But they'll sit in the classroom the whole day, and the teacher won't necessarily pick it up. Because in class, when you're tired, you're going to sit slumped down, half asleep, and everybody looks like that.
Wow.
So you can actually, as a coach, you actually see that change in their behavior, and then because they're comfortable with you, because they know, okay, coach is the type of person that I can talk to, because when I'm outside there, I'm not in a classroom, it's not parents' day with them. You don't ever have a parents' day, and I mean everybody will love sports. True. So you don't ever have a parents' day. So you're not like you're calling your parents in and you're going to lecture you about your academics. So it's someone that I feel I can trust, I can speak to, and I can open up to. And in most cases, you find yourself in a situation whereby you are taking on all these kids' problems, but we don't make it affect us, because we know that our purpose here is not just on the field, but we also try to help them off the field. We take it beyond it, because if we have a child with a clear mind on the field, we have a better player. So we try to see.
Wow.
So we're not. Yeah. So we're not. You're not just taking your player.
Yes.
Then drop off, put them on a field, right play. That child's mind is messed up right now.
Mm-hmm.
They are in another zone. They are going to lose their temper on the field. They're going to get aggressive. Every small thing the referee is going to blow for, they're going to throw a tantrum, and that's why you see those anger issues on the field. You see that tantrums. You see people wanting to fight, hit. Swearing, all of that. It's because let's sort your problem out first.
And then
and so that's when a coach actually brings in discipline. Because with me it's simple. You show me attitude on the field, and I don't care whether you're the most valuable player in my team right now, and if I'm winning and you're leaving the field is going to cause us to lose, you're off. I'm sorry, and everybody needs to understand that. So,
reminds me of Eric Ten Hag.
Yes.
I mean, what he did to Ronaldo.
Yeah, but it's discipline. I mean, you look at those professional players, they earn so much of money. Mm-hmm. They don't need to listen to a coach.
No.
The coach probably earns a quarter of what they earn.
100%.
But look at the discipline and respect they have for their coaches.
100%.
They have a huge amount of respect and discipline. They cannot talk back to the coach. You cannot tell your coach, I'm sorry, excuse me, I'll stay on the field, I don't care what you have to say. They're going to listen to the coach, they're going to climb off. I have plenty of times where I have the teachers telling me, please can you speak to the SHADYs, I want to listen in class, take away soccer, take away sports, take away, and parents, they punish their kids with sports. Why? Because they know that's the only area that they're happy.
I mean, just two questions on what you're saying, right? One, so for these kids, right, that are going through this year, obviously they get to a certain point where, they get a little bit older. How do you continue that, that development from a coaching perspective, and continue that respect between coach and student, especially, with these youngsters that have access to everything? How do you manage that? And two, how do you get the school? So the one is from a player's perspective, and the other side from a schooling perspective. How do you get the school to value the coaches as much as they value teachers? Because I think that's also a really, coaches are overlooked in certain cases. He's just a coach, or she's just a coach, but the teachers are held in different esteem. So how do we level that, especially with the impact that the coaches are having on these kids? And this could be for both of you to bounce it.
I'm sure you go through it.
Wow.
I'm sure you go through it as well as much as I do. Yes.
All the time. But yeah, madam, sure.
Yeah, so I think that the problem is changing the parents as well as the teachers' perspective, like their perception of what a coach is.
Mm-hmm.
So PE, it's a subject. PE is looked at a by the way subject. It doesn't hold value as far as your points are at university. LO is not considered as any main subject. And so PE is sidelined. It's like the kids are having fun. And school is this, a lot of schools, they work with this concept that children shouldn't be having fun all the time. Yeah. Like when they go out for PE and they come back, now they're distracted and they're talking about what they did in PE and they're not focusing in class, and it's an annoyance for a teacher. That, when you guys come back from PE, you need to settle down. So there's a lot of excitement that comes back with PE. So they're always looking at PE as like, anybody can do it. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people say that. You see people come to me, I have coaches coming to me, people coming to me saying, you know what, coach, I'm looking for a job. I'm like, okay, so what are your qualifications? What have you done? No, I used to play soccer for...
Yeah,
So you
that's
used to play
exactly
soccer.
what it
So I'm
is.
like, you can play soccer, but can you actually coach a child?
Yeah.
Can you transfer that skill that you have on the level that a child needs to understand it? You can't be standing here and talking technique with a child who's 5 years old and doesn't understand what you're saying. So can you transfer that skill that you have? I know you can play soccer. I put you on the field now, you probably play and you win the game. But can you transfer that skill? Can you bring that child to the level that you are, that your coach brought you to? You can't do it.
Yep.
Not everybody can do it.
Do that.
Not everyone can do it. And that's what makes the coach. Because I know a lot of dads have this, a lot of clubs, and they don't want to employ professional coaches with the qualification. And I'll tell you where the biggest disadvantage is coming for them. They don't want to employ proper coaches. They'll take if my child is playing soccer, I'll coach my child's team. My dedication to that team is based on my child playing for that
Solely
team.
on the child.
As soon as my child moves on,
The team
I'm
is gone.
out.
Exactly.
What happens to that team then is not my concern. I really don't care because I was there for my kid. And many people will say, no, I'm different. I'm going to be here. I'm going to commit my time. I'm going to put in my effort. You only put in your time and effort because you also want to tell the rest of them what to do. And you want your child to see you in the light of, my father is a hero because my father is a coach. So it gives the parent that importance. But don't put these kids at such a disadvantage.
Yeah,
because what you're going to do there is you're literally going to go onto the field. You're going to throw the ball. They're going to kick the ball around. Yes, they're going to be able to kick a ball. Yes, they're going to be able to dribble a ball. Maybe you'll teach them how to do a throw in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you'll teach them how to do a free kick. But you are putting these children at such a huge disadvantage because you are not qualified to do what you're doing.
100%.
But because of this whole concept that a coach anybody can do their job, everyone and anyone thinks they can just go inside and they can coach.
You know,
And
coaching.
before you get in there,
Go for it.
let's just dispel this here on Gunning to Old Trafford. Coaching is not just a fly-by-night profession.
Yes.
You need qualifications, you need dedication, and you need to be fully committed to be able
Yes,
to
you have to
do
be fully
what they
committed.
do. You know, the
100%.
respect I have for coaches after seeing what this guy does day in, day out, in the heat,
In the
the
heat,
commitment,
exactly.
and the
Especially
I've
those
tried
heat
to go
waves
in.
that
I
you go
tried to go when he does this and just watch him, and the energy levels that you need to have for these kids to get them going is amazing, and
Yes.
that only comes with a special type of person, and understanding that psychology of a kid as well.
Yes.
And I think that's
You have
important.
to. You have to.
Once they start trusting you, I promise you, when you get that commitment from a child, the sky is the limit. The sky is the
So
limit.
what I've been working on, not only with M schools, because I'm deputy chairman on M, so what I've been highlighting a lot with the M schools, but not only with M schools, also with the government schools. I've even chatted to minister about it, education, because I know her quite well, like we know each other quite well. So I've even chatted to her about it. One of the biggest issues that we want to bring in is bringing in professional coaches into schools, because with most of the schooling systems, they use an educator to run their sports, and they use an educator to even coach soccer after school, extramural activities. They'll take a particular teacher, okay, you do soccer, you do netball, whatever. These teachers are not trained to see talent. They're not trained to see skill. They're not trained to identify a strong player, a weak player, and they don't have the ability and the skill to develop that player. So what happens is this child will go through the entire schooling year not knowing that they actually had opportunities to advance themselves within that field of their sport.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you find that the disappointment comes from their child having to try, but they can never achieve what they want to achieve because the people around them don't have that passion, that we would go over and beyond to find opportunities for these kids to further them. I mean, I told my parents, like if a parent comes to me and tells me my child is going to super sport, I'm excited because for me it means I got better quality players in my soccer team, in my school team.
Correct.
Because now the children are getting structured. It's not a case of like, no, if you play for a school, you can't play for anybody else. I would rather that you develop yourself stronger in an environment that is focused on that particular sport and has a level of professionalism to it. Yeah. Not just a by the way soccer club that's put together with a group of guys for your community. Just let them play ball. Just let's keep them busy.
Yeah.
Let's take them off the street and let them play ball. That concept has to change completely.
No, definitely.
It's not a let's keep them busy, let them just play ball kind of a thing. Let's develop them so that we can get them out there so that you give them the opportunities that, like
100%.
so many of them are losing.
100%. As coaches again, and I think comes down to respect in it, right? So a lot of the youngsters nowadays, I mean, when we were growing up, you had access to maybe one Premier League match a week or whatever it is. Now you can have access to it anytime, right? YouTube, TikTok, there's content all over the show, right? And they sometimes see these professional footballers acting in certain ways and, behaving in certain ways. Do you see that behavior filtering onto pitches? So, diving and, rolling
Side
around after a
tackle.
small tackle and then arguing with the refs. Do you see that creeping in? And do professional athletes have a responsibility for the youngsters? And as a coach in grassroots, is there a linkage between it?
Yeah, no, most definitely. So because, like I said, because of the lack of professional coaches, and because people are so easy to settle for, someone that knows the game, kids are finding they're not getting enough. These kids are hungry. They're hungry to learn. They're hungry to learn the technique. They want to learn the skill. And because the person that's teaching them is not giving them that, they're going to look at the YouTube videos. They're going to watch TV. They're going to try to absorb whatever skill they can get from that. And obviously they're looking at something. They're trying to imitate it. But they're not imitating it in the correct form. They're not using the proper technique. Their technique is off. Their skill is off. And it's so important when you let a child run between cones. Any child can run between cones. But how many of them can run with a proper precision?
Yeah.
Yes. It's a certain technique to run so that you don't lose control of the ball. And you got correct balance. And so when these kids are watching this, it's basically they're trying to imitate what they see because they're not getting that education, that knowledge, that skill, that professionalism on the field from their coach that is coaching them. So that is where you understand the difference between saying put your child in an environment where there's a coach that is actually
versus
qualified.
just anybody coming on to do it.
For example, I will tell you now, I'm not a netball coach. I will never, to this day, I've never stepped on the courts and coach my girls. When my coaches are absent, I would rather sit down and have a chat with the girls about something else or do a fitness drill with them because fitness is my area. I will never coach them netball because it's not an area that I have any expertise in. I understand the game. I can plan games. I can plan tournaments. I can do the logistics. I run the administration I can manage the rest of the sporting codes. Soccer is the only area that I can be comfortable in. But the other area codes, except for fitness and soccer and PE, the other areas I don't interfere. My coaches are doing their work. All my coaches are qualified. So if they're doing a drill, they're doing something, I don't come and interfere and I don't interrupt.
And it takes a level of maturity to understand it as well, right? To know that not all sports are the same. Yes,
No.
I have the qualification, but stick to my lane.
Yes.
Let me do what I do and let me help others to, really blossom in what they do. And
Like
think that's important.
I tell the principals always when they're like, but if they come in to coach soccer, tell them to just coach cricket. I said, would you take a maths teacher, would you take a life orientation teacher and make them teach
That
maths?
is so true.
So I'm like, you won't use your life orientation teacher to teach maths or your creative arts teacher to teach science because they're different areas
qualifications,
completely. So I
100%.
said, so no, my coach that's come in for netball would not be coaching cricket because she does not know how to hold the cricket bat.
Coach, it's amazing you say that. Trevor Noah one day said, the whole world is going straight. But us South Africans, no, we'll meet you there, just short left.
Yeah.
We'll just go around the corner. But why? The road is straight.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But coach, and this is where I think I need to come in and from the bottom of my heart, you don't know this, I didn't tell you this, the viewers don't know this. Coach gave me one of my biggest
Breaks.
breaks in my life. There was a time in my life where I got the qualification, I did what I needed to do, and I was caught in a place whereby it was difficult. People were not welcoming. It was difficult. I guess that's just part of life. And you guys won't believe it. Coach Radia gave me my first biggest opportunity, and that was at Nizamia.
Brilliant.
And we did so
That's
well.
amazing.
We did
Yes,
so
travel.
well.
So
this thing goes
And
back.
it goes back. And my
We used to
admiration
travel,
for you,
We
madam.
used to travel all that way.
I loved it. My admiration for you, my respect for you are beyond words. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, Jazakallah for everything.
No,
Jazakallah
I'm
for
glad
you.
to see you successful.
Jazakallah for pushing us. As much as you think you're not, for pushing coaches like myself, coaches out there, and even our students and our kids, in giving us a platform to shine. So
Yeah, I
amazing
tell you,
stuff,
right?
I mean, this
amazing.
testament, I mean,
Yeah.
we started this off saying, a male-dominated sport,
Yeah.
which is now turned, and look at this, a female coach giving a break to a male coach, and that's beautiful,
So,
and that's what we need to
I
see,
tell you,
that coordination.
I left Nizamia. I resigned from Nizamia full time, and the reason I've done that is I'm still running the sports. So I'm still there on a daily basis running the sports department. But the reason I've done it is I've started my own company, JR Sports Solutions.
What's
and
it, coach?
JR Sports Solutions.
JR
JR,
Sports
we need
Solutions.
to- are you on Instagram?
No, we literally just started.
Okay. When you are, please let us know.
But our
Let's do
whole
what we do.
our whole idea behind my company that I started is to allow coaches the respect that they deserve. So what I do is a lot of companies, and I've worked previously for a company. I'm not going to mention their name, but they run as a business. So if I am contracted to a school via this company, they'll take 50% of my salary or 60% of my salary, and the company will give me like 40%. So they undermine you as a coach, even in your own field, with people that you're supposed to be working with. So what I've done is I've created this company, and I've run it as an agency, not so much as a company. And I've got a list of coaches, because I was working with the Youth Foundation last year, the Yes Foundation last year, and they sent through a few coaches for us to mentor and to train. And I got to understand these coaches. A lot of them are from Alexandra, but they're good coaches. They're very passionate. They got a lot of potential, but they got no opportunities. So what I've done is I've started the company now. I've approached schools. Over the past 12 years, you network yourself within your own field. You network yourself all over. So I know a lot of people in sports. So I started approaching people, companies, schools, clubs, who are looking for coaches. And then I literally say to them, if an opportunity comes your way, you take it. Give me back 2%, the rest is yours.
Brilliant.
But I don't want you to stay
Amazing,
there.
man.
I don't want you to stay there. So I placed one coach at a school in Pretoria, and I spoke to him after a week. He said to me, the principal wants me to stay on. And I said, can I say something to you? And he said, what? I said, you are not going to stay there as a coach. He said, why? What am I doing? I said, you are going to develop into the head of sports. And he was so excited.
Lovely.
So he
That
said,
is
did the principal say
amazing.
that? I said, no, the principal didn't say that. I'm telling you that. I'm
That's
telling
amazing.
you that you have the potential, and you're going to work yourself there. So my coaches that are currently working with me at Nizamia, they just started this week. On the very first day, I said to them, I own the company. Externally from the school, I own the company. But in this office, I'm not your boss, because I don't work like that. We're a team. I'm going to learn from you guys as much as you're going to learn from me. There's no rule about, I don't want to see your lesson plans. You are adults. You must be able to go out there and
Manage it.
do your best that you can do. And I've seen their determination on the field. They are so committed that they even pull me off my chair to tell me, we got a session in 5 minutes.
Wow.
Love it.
Wow.
So,
man.
and
Wow.
because I said to them, guys, my career is probably now, I'm much older, so I'm exiting. But there needs to be a load up, because if we can develop good coaches, we're going to definitely get good players.
Of course,
So
yes.
that's where it's going to start from. So if you're going to have the right people, the right tools, you're going to get the best
100%.
results.
Brilliant.
So that's where I started now. I'm like,
And,
let's start with my coaches, and then we come to the
I
players.
think just two more questions, and I'll do one, and I'll hand over to Abdul, right, to take us through. One of the things, and you said it off camera, and we bring it in here, is, and we said it up front, that Radia is not just a sports coach, but she's also a fitness coach.
Yeah.
How much are you seeing the fitness level of the kids impact what they can do on a sporting field? And are the kids of today committed to being at that elite level of fitness?
COVID has kicked us back majorly. I'll give you an example, and I gave you this example earlier, but I'll do it for the sake of the viewers. We did a comparison. We did district athletics, and we did a comparison for the fastest runner in 2019 as opposed to the runner in 2022, and there was a huge time lap. As opposed, like, it was a 10 second, not 10 seconds. It was about a 5 second
Stuck.
gap. But the thing is that it just shows that overall the learners have struggled with their levels of fitness. COVID has also impacted on people's lung capacity. It has affected people's heart, your general well-being, your general physical well-being has been affected
Correct.
from COVID. So that's the one aspect. The other aspect is the lazy aspect. because of the slump that we've been put in through COVID, and we came back into schools and we didn't start sports immediately. Clubs were not allowed to open. Sports wasn't running. It was one of the last industries that were allowed to run. Because of that, kids became lazy. They were still laid back. They were relaxed. They went into this, routine of just coming back from school and crashing.
Yeah.
They picked up weight over the time. A lot of them have slowed down, so they have lack of confidence now. They don't want to participate in athletics. I'm struggling to put teams together for athletics because everyone is like, coach, I can't run anymore so fast. Coach, I can't do this. Coach, I can't do that. And they don't want to start because they're afraid of they might not be as good as they used to be.
Mm-hmm.
So I first have to work on changing their mindset and saying, you know what, if you were fast once, you're going to be fast again. It's going to take practice. Yes, we have to, it's throwing us backwards. We got to start again. But I can honestly tell you that if we want to see some great sports happening again, we got to start from the roots, and the kids really need fitness. And I know a lot of parents say, they went for training. They didn't even kick the ball. They didn't even play a game. What kind of training is this? They don't understand that for them to be able to be successful at the game that they're playing, they need to be able to outrun the opposition team.
100%.
If I can't run a full field, 11-a-side field, and if I can't last a 90-minute game,
correct,
then what good is my skill, my technique, everything else that I can do on the field? It's worth nothing because I'm huffing and puffing. I'm going to get put off onto the bench.
And again, I think that just shows the importance of a really good, qualified coach to understand all of those challenges and take it back to the drawing board.
Yes.
Abdul, the grassroots one, let's end off on grassroots. And I think
grassroots development, madam. One of the, I'm saying madam again, coach.
I'm
so used, guys. That's a grassroots development.
Yes.
So important in having that foundation. I have something called the TIPS movement. This is my own thing, which is T for the technical and a tactical aspect. As a footballer, you must have a bit inside. That's your theory part. A little bit of personality and the skill for S. But the skill is supposed to be coached by a coach.
Yes.
To enhance the skill. So having said the steps, this is a holistic ideal for us to really push our grassroots level, and obviously not forget that foundation. That's how important grassroots is. And coach, by you talking, I was just filled with so much emotions. Can I do a quote? The quote goes like this. A boss has the title, but a leader has the people. Very big difference. Madam Coach Radia, Madam Radia, my inspiration, a woman, a lady that I respect so much. It has been an absolute pleasure.
Has it been amazing?
And like Ibrahim always says, once you are on the gunning to Old Trafford seat, you become family. So please, this is not going to be the first time. We're going to see you a bit more.
The last time, not the first time.
Not the last time. It's not going to be the last time. It's the first of many. First of many. So, Madam Coach,
and
thank
if
you
you
so
need
much.
any support from Gunning to Old
We are
Trafford as
here
well,
for you.
on the field, we're happy to help you.
And
I appreciate it.
wow,
Yes.
absolutely amazing.
Any last closing words, Coach, before we wrap up?
Well, I must say I really appreciate the opportunity, because sometimes getting your message across is the hardest part of doing your job. So I appreciate the opportunity to platform and get the message out there. Maybe people understand things better. We'll have a better response from our parents, our players, and we can produce better results at the end of the day.
Brilliant.
Thank you
Love
so
it.
much.
Beautiful stuff.
Guys, if you're not subscribed, you're going to miss this. So don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit the bell notification. It's been an education.
Oh, yes, definitely.
And again, it just shows friends. And it just shows that, football is not only a men's game. It should be open to all. And the things that women and girls football is doing to this country, it's unbelievable, and we love it. So, guys, with that, Abdul.
Madam, are you with us?
I'm with you guys.
In 3, 2, 1. We are
Gunning to Old Trafford.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you, guys.